Illuvium Arena is launching the ultimate Web3 battle experience, and it's coming up very soon. The open beta mainnet is officially launching on July 25th, and there's so much to look forward to between now and then, and there's already things you can participate on. For instance, if you've already been participating in the airdrop, you can actually start claiming those airdrop points already, but if you're not, there's still time to participate in this incredible airdrop. The date is also a really significant milestone because it marks the 3.5-year anniversary that they've been building up towards. And from what we've seen so far, Illuvium is absolutely crushing it. The Illuvium ecosystem is more than just one crypto game. They have 3 different game modes, and they also have a vault and staking mechanics like no other. So you get 3 unique crypto games, as well as the gaming and economy that all work seamlessly together. There's nothing like this that exists in crypto, and that's why it's so impressive and why you need to be part of their community if you're not already. There's Illuvium Arena, which is a PvP auto battler, Overworld, which is an epic RPG open world map to collect alluvials and more. There's Zero, a city builder mobile game, and they're creating Beyond, which is a collectible card game. Now, if you're looking to learn all about the world of Illuvium, we have 2 really important videos. One where we sit down with the founder of Illuvium, Kieran Warwick, and we discuss everything about the ecosystem. Also, even though the interview did come out a couple months ago, there's still some Easter eggs in here that he dropped that have not been announced yet. So there's definitely some alpha there. But we've also done another video talking about their ecosystem and the vaults. So if you're an investor, it might be a really good idea to watch that because you can find out the big potential in staking Illuvium. But for the rest of this video, we're going to be focusing on their game Illuvium Arena. Illuvium Arena features the PvP world inside the Illuvium ecosystem. It's a battle zone where you test your alluvials against others. Think of Pokemon, but with a more strategic twist. And if you've played one of our other games, Aperion, you know what we're talking about here. So it's similar to like an auto chess battler, but you have your game board where you have your main character, the ranger, and the alluvials with different abilities. So just like other games in similar genres, you've got like your tanks, your healers, your long range. So you plan out the positioning on your board and you combo the different alluvial abilities to try your best to accomplish victory over your opponent. Now, if you're interested in getting started with this one, good news if you're a Mac user, because most games in crypto, as you know, are all for PC, but Illuvium Overworld is for Mac OS and of course PC as well. All you have to do is visit the official website and create a account and register for the open beta testnet by connecting your immutable passport to Illuvium, and once registered, you're going to get that confirmation email. So as you can see here, you just head on over to the Epic Game Store, type in Illuvium, and download the main game there. And whether you're familiar with these strategic auto battler chess style games, there's a convenient 6-step tutorial process that takes you through everything you need to know about playing the game. It also breaks down things like their point system, moving around the ranger, the different alluvials, and all the different abilities, so you can learn fairly quickly how to set up your board. Now, with our in-depth game reviews here at Funjible Games, we like to do this in 2 ways. One, we break down all the main things you need to know, like graphics, storyline, gameplay, economy, things like that from our perspective, but then we'd love it if you play the game yourself. And then if you go to our website, fungible.games, there we have community reviews where we all chat together and you can break down after you've played the game what you think of each of those variables as well. So after you've played this game for a couple days or a few weeks and you kind of have the vibe on it, make sure you head on over to fungible.games and leave your honest review there for us as well. As for graphics on this one, Illuvium Arena is built in Unreal Engine 5. The game stands out with its impressive graphics and strategic gameplay. The alluvials and the battle effects are depicted in stunning detail. Here, it's really unique because unlike some other auto battlers, you actually get to see the characters moving around. Things like the rogue alluvials can teleport to the back of the board, and it just makes for a much more interesting game dynamic. As for the music and sound, they've done a solid job of putting it together. The various nature and animal sounds really make it much more immersive and give you the feeling of an alien world. The background music, however, is more of that typical auto battler, so you might get bored of it if you have massive sessions over and over again. Now, as for the storyline in this game, it is really rich, and this is where Illuvium is so impressive and goes above all the rest. Like we were saying earlier in this video, Illuvium Overworld, which is their open world kind of RPG game, you can go around and collect Illuvials that you can actually use in this arena battle game. So it's really interesting that the story and lore tie all together. You start off exploring an alien world that you crashed on. While exploring the planet, players will encounter Illuvials that they can capture and use. The lore is also reflected in the Illuvials' classes, elemental affinities, and powers. Now for the next section, gameplay. As we've already talked about, this is an auto battler, but it's so much more. Players will start in the arena and engage in battles against others in PvP mode, or lots of enemies in their PvE mode. You deploy your ranger, which is your avatar, and Illuvials from your deck and onto the battlefield. In PvE mode, known as their survival campaign, there you continue battling in waves and waves of enemies until you're defeated. And in PvP mode, called Ascendant, players battle through rounds until one player is left standing. As you might have guessed already, this game revolves around strategic deck building, where players create decks from Illuvials, augments, which are boosts, weapons, and suits. The strategy here revolves around creating synergies. This is done between Illuvials based on their classes and elemental affinities, which include 5 basic elements. You've got fire, air, nature, earth, and water. And additionally in this one, the Illuvials have 5 different classes. There's fighter, rogue, empath, scion, and bulwark. But it doesn't just end with those simple things. Here's a few tips and tricks for you. Some Illuvials possess dual classes and elements, adding complexity and variety to deck creation. And the best part is you can combine 2 to 3 creatures to create stronger Illuvials. But to make sure you can't do anything too OP, there's a strict amount of points every round that you have to follow, but fortunately the tutorial does a really good job of showing you how to do that. And another really cool thing that you can do with your ranger or your avatar is what's called bonding, whereas if you have Illuvials of the same element, you can actually bond it with your ranger, giving you more abilities. In game, this directly translates to do things like more range or increase damage. And like we alluded to earlier in the video, where you position your ranger and Illuvials is really important. For instance, your healer, you're going to want to have them protected, but like we were talking about earlier, if your opponent is using a whole bunch of rogues, they might be able to teleport to the back of your map and then start attacking you there. So it's really important that you really think about them and their strategy and the Illuvials they might have, because you might need to put your bulwark down at the back to protect your healers and things like that. Now, next up is what you need to know about this economy. And I must say, after being in crypto gaming for 3 years and seeing so many different types of token models and things like that and how the token is used throughout the gaming ecosystem, I was blown away when I learned about the Illuvium Vault ecosystem, how they're using different burn mechanisms and putting money that they make in profits directly back to token buybacks, which is, if you don't know, is so crucial. When you have the buying power of a project like Illuvium, they raised so much money in 2021, and that makes them so much stronger compared to a lot of other crypto games because they have such deep pockets, which they can use to defend their token price as well as build up the game. So not only are they building an incredibly impressive game for gamers, but also for investors and people that like to stake. There's so many options there. Now, we don't have the time to dive into all the individual staking options in this video, but if you're interested in that and you are a staker of tokens or an investor, it's definitely worth your time to head on over to their website and check out everything about the vaults and their different staking options. Now, within the game itself, the Illuvium token serves 3 main things. First is governance, and like a lot of other crypto protocols, the goal here is decentralization, or in simple terms, giving the community the opportunity to vote on what they'd like to see in the game in the future. Next up is their liquidity mining, which we just talked about, so if you're interested in that, head on over to their website and read more. And finally is that vault distribution, where players who stake Illuvium get a share of the treasury, which is funded by sales. Now, if you have some experience with another OG crypto gaming ecosystem like Theta, you know that they have Theta and T-Fuel, and they try and use that to try and balance the gaming economy. Illuvium does that, but at a much deeper level. The economy in Illuvium works by balancing two types of games: supply games and demand games. Supply games like Illuvium Overworld and Illuvium Zero create resources like fuel and items. These resources are then used up in demand games like Arena and Beyond, which you'll see later. And as the years go by, Illuvium developers plan to create even more demand games, so there's always a demand for the assets and the token. Next up is the Illuvium token itself. Let's head on over to CoinMarketCap here, where we can see it. When we put it to the all view, we see back in December of 2021, we saw those all-time highs of it reaching $1,846. Compared to the $81 that it is at the time of filming, that is a massive gain. But when we're looking at the more local time frame of this project, we can see when we switch to the 1 year view, we can see that earlier in October, it was around $40. So if you're watching us in the bear market, congratulations, because you probably picked some up around that time, but it's only a 2x since then. We shot up to almost a 4x earlier in March when we were peaking on the current cycle. But what we want to check out when we look at a token like this is the circulating to supply, to see the risk of our asset investment. So right now we see the circulating supply is 4.4 million Illuvium tokens, but the total supply is 8.2. So that's roughly about 50% is distributed. Now, this is where you want to check out a game's tokenomics. Now, if you go to Illuvium and their website, you can follow everything there, but they've got big cliffs and also a really strong commitment from the team, like people like Kieran Warwick themselves, who say they're not looking at doing any major token dumps other than keeping the protocol going. So if we can trust them from that, this is a game ecosystem where even though only 50% of the tokens have been distributed, it looks like there's still a huge opportunity here. Because even if a gaming run comes and the token 10x's, sure, it doesn't get back to that 1800, but your staking rewards that you do from, like, let's say here to the top of the gaming run will be so much more valuable. Now, at Funjible Games, we can never give you investment advice. This is always do your own research, because crypto is incredibly volatile, like you definitely know if you've been around since crypto gaming in 2021. But we're really impressed with this project, and we wanted to share it with you so you could do your own research. Next up after the token are NFTs, which play a vital role in the Illuvium ecosystem. They drive the in-game economy, and players can own, trade, and use them within the game. There are 4 main types of NFTs in the game. First off, you've got the Illuvials, which are the characters that you collect in Overworld, find on the Overworld maps, and then of course, like we were talking about, the demand side, where you battle in things like Illuvium Arena. Next up are the weapons and armor NFTs, and these you use for increasing the abilities in battles. Number 3 are land NFTs, which you can find in Illuvium Zero. And if you're a fan of like real estate tycoon games, or you just want to have a full ecosystem when you're playing Illuvium, you'll be able to mine resources and then sell them back to players in the game, where you can make a real life profit there. And if you want to hear a little bit more about this and how it breaks down, definitely watch our interview with Kieran, because he spoke about it directly there. And just like any other major game like World of Warcraft or what have you, the marketplace becomes so important and what builds out the life and the ecosystem of the game. Because for something like this to create that true in-game economy, whether it be like trading gold for equipment in World of Warcraft, you can see it works there, and here is where it's going to work in Illuvium. Illuvium features their Illuvidex, where players can buy, sell, and trade these NFTs. This allows players to monetize their in-game efforts, so if you're a grinder, you can definitely make money, or if you're on the other side, the type of person that likes throwing a few $100s or even a few $1,000s at a game so you can start up at a higher level, well, you can do that and reward the players you've grinded for the assets for you. And finally, we have the latest updates from Illuvium that you need to know about. First, their open beta mainnet launch. Illuvium has confirmed its highly anticipated open beta launch will be on July 25th, and the developers are proud to announce some new modes. These additions include Gauntlet mode and a new weapon system for Arena, as well as combat, NPC interactions, economy adjustments, character customization, and a brand new revamped UX for Overworld. Illuvium Zero will also see the introduction of missions, support for iOS and the Play Store, and also PC and Mac, so it becomes fully cross-compatible. The Illuvium team also just released a fresh new trailer, so if you haven't seen that yet, head on over to their YouTube channel and check it out. It's looking really impressive. The next major thing that you need to know about is their ongoing airdrop. For those of you who've already been grinding it out, keep on going because it's definitely going to be so worth it. But if you haven't started yet, there's still tons of opportunity. This beta also kicks off this play to airdrop campaign where players can earn a big part of 250,000 Illuvium tokens worth almost $20 million. And if we go into that big gaming bull run like we talked about when we were looking at the token earlier, and that 10x's, that's almost $200 million in Illuvium value right there. So if you haven't participated in grinding for this airdrop yet, I think that should be a big sign that it's time to head on over to their website and start the process. Now, as for our final thoughts on this one, there was definitely a lot to unpack there, but the bottom line, is Illuvium Arena worth playing? Well, if you already like auto battlers or learning new strategic games, you definitely have to try this one out. What I like about this auto battler compared to some others is the actual positioning of where you put your alluvials really matters, because you could have the same alluvials on the map and in one time you could lose the game, but if you have them in a different strategical area based on your opponent, you could actually win the game. So it makes it much more interesting and addictive for the players. Now, of course, with this being a relatively new game, there are still some drawbacks. Some issues that need to be resolved are like the lack of the in-game deck builder, and there's a steep learning curve. But if you're willing to push through that, it is definitely worth your time, and nice that all the Illuvium games work together. So if you're tired of playing an auto battler, for instance, you could head on over to Illuvium Overworld. You can search and explore and find new alluvials, then bring them back and then start playing Illuvium Arena yet again. Now, if you haven't checked out our interview with Kieran, I definitely recommend you do that, because there's still a lot of Easter eggs in that one, and it's really nice hearing his in-depth perspective of the whole Illuvium world. Now, if you haven't yet, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Check us out on our X platform, Funjible Games, for more exciting information. And of course, head on over to our website, fungible.games, where you can see gaming walkthroughs, news, and of course, leave your own community review of what you think of Illuvium.